Clips, clips.
And remember, citizens, always subscribe and hit the bell. Everything will be well in 1995. Plus, shipping and handling will keep you out of hell. Why does a dog wag its tail? Because a dog is smarter than its tail. If the tail were smarter, the tail would wag the dog. Wag the dog in politics is the act of creating diversion from a damaging issue. Here at Wag the Dog News, the tail doesn't wag the dog. Enjoy.
Clips, clips.
And remember, citizens, always subscribe. Hit the bell. Everything will be well. 1995. Plus, shipping and handling will keep you out of hell. Get rid of technical issues like that. Anyway, welcome one and all. Thanks for joining Wag the Dog News, where we look at the news from all sides. And it's a bit interesting times. Not only have we got Bojo trying to get forced out. He's not leaving. He's not leaving anytime soon. And we've got the Japanese Prime Minister getting assassinated, man. It's not very often you get world leaders, ex-world leaders, getting assassinated. And in my humble opinion, Japan is occupied territory. It's the US of A with slanty eyes, man. In my humble opinion, it's ever since World War II, America's ruled the roost there. Or at least had a very, very, very prevalent influence. Anyway, welcome to Wag the Dog News. Get the news at the top of the hour. And I was busy this morning, so I've not managed to record RT, and RT doesn't do news at 1. So I'll see if the fun goes on to 2 and we can catch the RT headlines. Just to mix it up a bit. But I've got the Chinese TV, which will be interesting because of it's close to home for them. The old Japanese assassination, so it will be fun and interesting to have a look at that. Me's thinking. So the RT's even working. You can tell it's a package already, can't you? It's like, no offence if you want to go and watch this stuff on RT, but it's not news. It's packages. I think that's the technical term for it. And here's the... It used to be CCTV, but they've changed it to CGTN for some reason, but it's the same shit. It's the exact same people. Editors. Television. And they've got some live stuff. It's no reporting, it's just a camera outside the hospital. Oh, great. Keir Starmer has been cleared by Durham police. And I'm just watching Sky News right now. Well, let's have a wee look. And Sky News are just replaying this footage. Man of the people, standing having a beer. Sir. Yes, sir! So we'll have a wee look at all that on top of the hour. I don't think the RT's going to give us anything. 4 minutes and count. Okie dokie, pig in a pokey. Let's see if this is any better. Hello, hello. Nope, still choppy as a motherfucker, innit? Back in the room. Maybe, possibly. Back in the room, back in the room. Come on. Right. Should be back in the room, should be back in the room. Right, is everything, all systems go? Oh man, this computer is a sack of shit, man. Just can't handle the fucking workload of fucking doing a live stream, man, the motherfucker. But anyway, back in the room, and it's just went after 1. But let's go to the Sky Newsies. RT's showing you a package. Right. Oh man. I need to get myself a new computer pronto. So let's go to it. Have a wee look at the Sky News. The world weather. World weather. Easy for me to say with my teeth out. Alright, Shug, how you doing, my man? Alright, Space Jew. Shug, Roberto, and the Space Jew, and the Flying Birds. I wish I was that much of a jet setter. Fortunately, I'm not a eco warrior. Don't have 40 homes and travel the world. Interesting times with Bobo.
Good afternoon, you're watching Sky News at 1, the headlines. Breaking news this hour, Sir Keir Starmer is cleared by Durham police of breaking lockdown rules.
He should have got charged like the rest of them.
Labour leader Angela Rayner will also not be fined after Sir Keir was filmed drinking beer with colleagues.
My God.
Also ahead, Japan's former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe dies after being shot during
He was filmed drinking beer.
Plus, the push to find a
God.
successor. Cabinet calls for a quick replacement for Boris Johnson as Labour threatens a confidence vote.
He remains Prime Minister until a new Prime Minister is found. That's how our system works. I think that everyone recognises the incentive of doing that properly and professionally, but quickly.
If he doesn't hand back the keys, we'll be making sure that he's turfed out of there.
Oh, rhubarb and custard sweets are the business, mate. Do you know what I love?
Former FIFA president Sepp Blatter
I'm trying to
and
lay
former
off him
UEFA president Michel Platini
now
are both
because
acquitted of corruption.
I'm getting my lockdown heat out my arse.
And Britain's Cameron Norrie prepares for
So I'm
the
stopping
biggest match of
binging
his
on
life
sweeties
as he takes on
basically,
Novak
which I was
Djokovic
doing quite
for a
happily.
place in the
But I used to,
Wimbledon
I love the lemon sherbets, buddy. Lemon sherbets for Tesco, cheapest chips, man. Big
Good
bag of them.
afternoon. Well, we start this hour
Lovely.
with breaking news, and the Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer has been cleared by Durham police of breaking lockdown rules. The investigation was centred around the events seen in this footage you can see on your screen, showing Sir Keir
Can you imagine
drinking
going
a
back
beer
50
in
years
April
and,
last year,
and like
alongside
showing this to
fellow
somebody and
Labour
going,
Party workers.
you know what, see in the
Labour
future,
leader had promised
this
to
is going to be
stand down
news.
from his role were he to be found guilty of breaching the rules by Durham police. Other staff at the event, including the Labour
What a
deputy
world
leader Angela
in
Rayner,
which we
have also
stay.
been cleared. Well, Sir Keir Starmer has said in a tweet, "I've always said no rules were broken when I was in Durham. The police have completed their investigation and agreed there is no case to answer. For me, this was always a matter of principle, honesty and integrity
shit.
matter.
Remember,
you will always
folks,
get that from me."
technical issues aside,
Durham
if you do
Constabulary
enjoy
released
what
a
do, stick
statement
me thumbs
saying,
up.
following the emergence of significant new information, an investigation was launched by Durham Constabulary into a gathering at the Miners' Hall in Red Hills, Durham, on the 30th of April 2021. Well, that investigation has now concluded. A substantial amount of documentary and witness evidence was obtained, which
Did they not get a
identified
curry
the
and all that?
17 participants and their activities during that gathering. It has been concluded that there is no case to answer for. Accordingly, Durham Constabulary will not be issuing any fixed penalty notices in respect of the gathering, and no further action will be taken. Well, we can go now to Sam Coates, who is in Westminster for us. It took a little while coming, didn't it, the conclusion of that investigation, Sam? But what it means is that the Labour Party still has a leader and a deputy leader.
That's right. Huge relief inside the Labour Party this lunchtime at the news that Durham Police have concluded the investigation that they opened the day after the local elections, so just on the first week of May. Here we are in July, and Durham Police have concluded that there is no case to answer because the events of April the 30th, 2021 that you can see on your phone, Keir Starmer enjoying a beer after a day at work, others around him enjoying a curry, were, in the words of Durham Police, reasonably necessary for work and therefore did not breach the COVID rules in place at the time. We were at the time in stage 2 of Boris Johnson's lockdown lifting plan that did not permit social gatherings. Durham Police have ruled that this is not a social gathering and therefore was not a breach of the COVID regulations, that the evidence of what the 17 participants were up to did not
All I'm
meet the
thinking is I
test,
want a curry.
for a fixed penalty notice, and there will be no fixed penalty notice issued, and therefore Keir Starmer
make
does
me
not have
fucking
to follow
hungry.
through with his
Want more
promise
beer?
to resign, and Angela Rayner, his
And
deputy,
I
also
didn't do
does
another
not have
live
to,
stream last night. I
follow
found the
through on her promise,
found the dude I was meant to be
resign
meeting
as
in the
well.
boozer.
So that uncertainty that had been hanging over like
You
a
can
dark
fill in the
cloud
rest
Labour
yourself.
leadership for what, 2 months now, has been lifted by Durham Police.
So I think
They
we
insist
actually
they've
hung
done a
about the
thorough
boozer to
job weighing up the
closing
evidence
time, man.
when deciding not to push ahead with any kind of sanction for the Labour leader. They insist that they have gone through the evidence properly and that they have come to what they regard as the correct
Who the fuck's creepy and
conclusion,
filming that shit? That's
possibly
what I
in
want to know.
conjunction with the Crown Prosecution Service, which is also often
I mean,
consulted
like 50
at
years
moments
ago,
like
the
this.
thing
event that
would
you're
be
looking at on the
peeping
30th of
Tom.
April
What the fuck is
2021
somebody
was on the
doing?
eve of
Peeping through
Hartlepool,
some cunt's windows?
by-election.
Not.
Keir
Oh my
Starmer
God!
was
Look,
visiting the
they're
offices
having a
in
curry
Durham
and
Miners'
beer.
Hall of Mary Kelly Foy MP, the Durham MP. who was there as well at the end of a day of campaigning and travelling by the Labour leader. And I think it was just the appearance of Keir Starmer swigging from a bottle of beer, people standing around, that led to that accusation that was pushed strongly and robustly by the Conservative Party that this didn't look like a gathering that was necessary for the purposes of work and therefore potentially illegal. But as I say, Durham Police decided that wasn't the case.
Oh my lordy, lordy, lordy! What they mention have we all woken up in, man?
In the room who said privately that there wasn't much work going on at that point, but the timetable for the day that was leaked to the Mail on Sunday a few weeks ago made it clear that this was a planned dinner that was part of the schedule of work. I suspect that memo that was part of the case for the prosecution in the newspapers against Keir Starmer possibly ended up helping him to some degree because it showed that it was a planned dinner as part of a working day. Interesting, the reaction from the Conservative Party, rather than straight accept the result, has been to question the
congratulations
judgment
on
of Durham
passing your
Police.
test,
They
buddy.
say people in Durham will be surprised to learn that they were allowed to stand.
I don't
around
think a few
inside
sweeties will
after
make
work
a
with people
big
from outside
difference
that
in the
household
grand
under
scheme of things
COVID
getting your new car, but I suppose
Other
it all helps.
forces have obviously taken a different view. Of course, if Keir Starmer held himself to the standard he demanded of others, he would have resigned 2 months ago.
Sherbet inside
That's a reference to the fact that Keir Starmer called on Boris Johnson to resign even before he was fined, handed that fixed penalty notice. Boris Johnson, that is, handed the fixed penalty notice for the birthday party in the cabinet room that he attended in 2020.
Spaceballs.
They come to a line of today from him.
I'm just sick of this
Thank
pish.
you very much. Leader herself, also a part of that investigation, always been clear and agreed in politics. The clearer is in Durham, where this event, of course, took place.
Cops can't investigate break-ins
to this investigation
because there's too many of them, but they've got time to do shit like this. Seriously.
Yesterday.
Fucking outrageous, man.
Hosting that meeting.
Political wankers allow
she says that
police time to get fucking wasted like
that. Of some I'd like to thank her.
How many times are they going to show the same 15 seconds of footage on a fucking loop? Sky News right enough, man. I wonder why they... I bet you the BBC are showing it on a loop like that. Just saying.
In respect of detailed, and it was not only in the amount of time.
Come on, fuck, man! How much fucking time?
After 6 to 8 weeks, is that the event.
My the former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has died.
Fuck for that.
Shot while giving a speech in Western Japan. The 67-year-old was campaigning on behalf of his political party when he was shot twice. His attacker was arrested at the scene and has reportedly confessed to the killing. Well, Sky's Nicole Johnston's report does contain the moments immediately before Mr. Abe was shot and an image of him as well after the attack.
Speaking at an election rally in the city of Nara. This is the moment Japan's former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe is attacked.
We've not seen this one.
2 gunshots fired from behind. They strike Abe in the back and doctors say the neck. He collapses, his shirt covered in blood. Chaos and confusion as security wrestles the suspect to the ground. And Shinzo Abe airlifted to hospital. Officials say he arrived with no vital signs. He was not breathing, his heart had stopped.
We are feeling the excruciating pain, and
that guy's a Beatles fan.
That he's terribly sorry for the loss of this great statesman. We will not give in to this terrible violence, which may shake the very foundation of democracy.
Local media reports a male suspect in his 40s has been arrested. and that he told police he wanted to kill the former PM. What appears to be a handmade gun was reportedly used in the attack. As Japan's longest-serving Prime Minister, Shinzo Abe was a towering figure on the international stage. At home, he orchestrated an ambitious plan to revive the country's ailing economy. Boris Johnson called it incredibly sad news, writing, "His global leadership through uncharted times will be remembered by many. My thoughts are with his family, friends and the Japanese people. The UK stands with you at this dark and sad time." Before Abe's death was announced, the US described the former PM as an outstanding leader and unwavering ally.
Our thoughts, our prayers are with him, with his family, with the people of Japan. This is a very, very sad
you'll get there with your car, mate.
As the
I know
shock
the prices
sinks
of
in,
motors
there
are
will
going
be
through the roof right now, right enough
could
not
this
to mention
happen
petrol.
in one of the safest countries in the world, where until now, political violence on this scale
Harvey
had
Chung
been
Lee
almost
Oswald.
unthinkable. Nicole Johnston, Sky News.
Well, just to put all of this into context, we can remind you now just how important Shinzo Abe was to Japan. He served as Prime Minister from 2006 to 2007 and again between 2012 and 2020. He resigned then because of ill health in August 2020. Abe was the first foreign leader to meet Donald Trump after he was elected US President back in 2016. He was also Japan's longest-serving Prime Minister since the Second World War. Well, Karo Enjoji is in Tokyo, where she gave us more details of Mr. Abe's legacy.
Well, at the moment, I think the country is in shock because I think Japan prides itself on being one of the safest countries in the world. But as you pointed out, he was prime minister until nearly 2 years ago. In fact, he served twice as prime minister, and he resigned both times for health reasons. He is from a political dynasty. His father was a foreign minister, his grandfather was a prime minister, and he is still very, very influential. I think two things in particular in recent history come to mind for Shinzo Abe as far as Shinzo Abe is concerned. One, first and foremost, he made no secret that he wants to amend Japan's pacifist constitution and give the Japanese military a stronger presence and a stronger role. And that, of course, ruffled feathers throughout the Asian region, particularly with South Korea.
What's happening down in Oz, mate? Are you getting flooded and shit? Or are you talking about vaccination stuff?
He tried to revive Japan's economy through what was known universally around the world as Abenomics, but with mixed success. But he was as I say, he was the longest-serving prime minister, and the Japanese public, I think, is still in shock. And as the current prime minister, Fumio Kishida, said, and I think he sums up the sentiment in Japan now very, very clearly, it is an unforgivable act, quote, of despicable barbarity. And I think that's the sentiment being echoed around the world today.
And people in the country will be shocked that there's a crime here involving gun violence there. Very rare. Got really strict controls against weapons in Japan.
Absolutely. I mean, policemen carry guns, but I think most people go through their entire life without ever seeing a gun drawn in public.
You're getting more lockdowns in Oz.
There may be a gun control debate raging in the United States and elsewhere.
Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype. Just chill, man. There's probably fuck all you can do as an individual. So
the process to get
I wish I could. Well, I try and take my own advice. Just chill and worry about it when it happens, if it happens, because there'll be people out there that want to just
down the line is equally difficult as
fill
well.
you with fear,
almost
man.
Unheard of to hear of gun violence here in Japan, let alone violence, but let alone gun violence. So, you know, I asked myself whether or not this is going to create a debate here about the need for more gun control. But at the moment, I think it is just so out of the realm of normal.
I don't think they would get away with putting lockdowns in place again up here, man. I would like to hope not.
Meanwhile, closer to home, the Education Secretary has told Sky News that replacing Boris Johnson as Prime Minister must be done properly and professionally, but quickly. James Cleverly was speaking despite Mr Johnson's insistence that he will remain in Downing Street until his successor is in place. That is a process that could drag on until early October. Opposition parties
Bobo
have said
is
that they
fucking
may force a
hilarious,
vote of
man.
no confidence in the
The longer he
government
stays
unless Mr Johnson
in
leaves
power,
office immediately.
the
Mr.
funnier.
Cleverly, who
That's all
yesterday
I'm
became
saying.
the third education
funnier.
secretary in as many days,
Fucking funny.
insisted that the Prime Minister would still be able to make big decisions while staying
Keir
on.
Starmer, no
He
difference.
remains Prime Minister until a new Prime Minister is found. That's how
I think
our
if Keir
system
Starmer
works.
was in charge, there would be a
think
different
that
approach in
everyone
Ukraine, for
recognises
example.
the incentive of doing that properly and professionally, but quickly, so that we can get some certainty, and so the new Prime Minister,
Oh,
whoever
they've got
that
the
may be,
good-looking
can build their team and
Labour
make sure they're
thing.
continuing to
Touch of the
focus
horse
on what
about
really
her.
matters, and that's the people of this country.
I can see the future.
Well, we can go live to Westminster. Our political correspondent, Ali Fortescue, is there for us. Ali, there's a lot of disquiet and indeed uncertainty about how long Boris Johnson is going to remain in number 10 as Prime Minister. What do you reckon?
I suspect what we might see
Remember,
is a
folks,
new
if you
leader in place
appreciate
by the
Wag Dog
time summer
News,
recess
stick a
is
wee
over.
thumbs
We'll
up.
get the timetable,
Everybody have a good
the full
weekend, y'all.
timetable that will give us a clear indication of what's going to happen on Monday. But I think the sense you get is that the party now want things to
I
move
don't think
quite
he'll have
quickly and a
time
new leader
tonight,
to
to
be
be
in place
honest,
as
to do
quickly
a
as
wee quick
possible.
broadcast.
What we might see is that the first round of this is where
If I
MPs
see
whittle
anything
down the number
interesting
of contenders, and
from
there's a
the
series of
tweets,
votes. Could happen over the next couple of weeks
do a live
before
stream.
recess on the 21st of July. And then what happens is the final two candidates go to the party membership. That could well happen over the course of the
Don't you
summer
just
with
love
a
all
series
these
of
right
hustings,
honourable
and then we could
gentlemen?
be in a position where we have a new leader and a new Prime Minister of the country
What do
by
they
the time the
call
summer recess is over.
women?
I think
Right
what we are
honourable
seeing
women?
now from the conversations I've had
Gentle
is
lady.
Tory MPs rallying. I think those who did want to see a caretaker Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, going immediately, appreciate
Right
the
honourable
moment for that
member.
might have passed.
Seems
And
like
I
a
think there
dick,
is a
doesn't it?
desire now for things to move quite quickly. What we're seeing from the opposition and from certainly the Lib Dems and SNP is a call for a no confidence vote in the House, which could ultimately lead to a general election. Labour being slightly more nuanced in their approach. They're basically saying they
Like
want to look at the time
vultures.
frame of this and saying they do think that the
All
Prime Minister
trying
should
to
go as quickly as
profit
possible, and suggesting
any way
that
they
if that
can.
doesn't happen, they would like to see a no confidence vote in the government. Here's Angela Rayner, the Deputy Labour leader.
If you look where me and Keir was when we took
see
over
the
the Labour
future.
Party and where the Labour Party was in the polls, we were in a devastating position. We've come forward with a programme for government, which I think the British people are starting to look at now, and they've seen the shambles of what the Conservative Party are. So bring on whoever comes forward, because they've all been marred in the sleeves and the scandals that Boris Johnson has brought to number 10. If he doesn't hand back the keys, we'll be making sure that he's turfed out of there. He cannot continue. We will do it as quickly as possible. Next week.
Well, Ali, don't go away.
All right,
I just want,
Donald.
for our viewers' benefit, to have a quick look at those runners and riders, the people who are expected to announce their candidacy in the race to succeed Boris Johnson. Well, first up, unsurprisingly, the former
I've got a
Chancellor,
cousin over in Oz as well, Shunk.
is there,
Oh,
as well
shit.
as the Foreign Secretary, Liz Truss. Now, they have at times both been favourites to be
It's a
the
small
next
world.
Prime Minister. Also among the likely contenders are the former Health Secretaries, Sajid Javid, and indeed before him there was Jeremy Hunt, who is currently chair of the Commons Health and Social Care Committee. Well, the Attorney General, Suella Braverman, has confirmed that she too
it's like,
is going to have a tilt.
It's like
at
a
the top
transfer
post. Also
sitting
potentially
on it
in the frame is
for
the new
MPs.
Chancellor, Nadine Zahawi, and the International Trade Minister, Penny Mordaunt. And last night, Tom Tugendhat, the chair of the Foreign Affairs Committee, announced that he also will stand. But the leading candidate at the moment appears to be this gentleman. That is Defence Secretary Ben Wallace, who, according to one poll,
Have you
is
ever
the
heard
most
the
popular figure
conspiracy
among
about the
Conservative
map?
Party members, although he is yet to
It's all
confirm
disproportionate.
if he intends to stand. Now
Um,
let's bring Ali Fortescue
it's not to
back.
scale.
Ali, within the last hour, we have had the breaking news that the Labour leader, Sir Keir Starmer, also Deputy Leader Angela Rayner, have been cleared by Durham Police.
Yes, that's right. It's interesting how much things have changed within the space of a week. This time last week, I was talking to a Tory who was suggesting that perhaps Boris Johnson could capitalise on chaos in Labour if Keir Starmer was fined and had to resign by calling a snap election. Now we're seeing calls from the opposition for a snap election after the government collapsed under Boris Johnson. So what difference a week has made. Keir Starmer has been cleared by Durham Police. That investigation that was hanging over the Labour leader's head about whether a beer and curry in Hartlepool constituted a lockdown breach. Both he and Angela Rayner said they would go. He trying to show that, unlike the Prime Minister, he was willing to resign if he broke the rules. But he will. There will be a massive sigh of relief, and lots of Labour people today saying this was an expected decision. But there was definitely a real nervousness in Labour that this could be a huge moment, and we might see over the course of the summer a Labour leadership race and a Tory leadership race. You mentioned there the riders and runners. I mean, it's hard to get through them because there's so many, but Ben Wallace has polled very well with Conservative Party membership. He, of course, has been the Defence Secretary. He has yet to put his hat in the ring. We understand he's been speaking to his family about what to do. We're waiting too on, of course, Rishi Sunak and Sajid Javid, who we expect will run. They, of course, wielded the axe with those two massive resignations on, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday night. I can't remember now. It's been such a long week. And that, of course, led ultimately to Boris Johnson resigning. Rishi Sunak, who used to be the bookies' favourite, is doing slightly better in the polls. I think he's third in that YouGov polling, but also lots of other people to look out for, people like Penny Mordaunt, Jeremy Hunt, who we expect will also run again. And so often in these leadership races, it's about who has the least enemies, and contenders can appear out of nowhere. People like Margaret Thatcher and David Cameron were certainly not the bookies' favourite, so it will be absolutely fascinating to see what happens over the next.
I thought they were going to dig Maggie up and fucking let her run there for a second.
Well, we can get more now on the breaking news this afternoon that Sir Keir Starmer has been cleared of breaking lockdown rules. I'm joined now by Parm Sandhu, the former Met Police Chief Superintendent. Hello there to you, Parm Sandhu. Durham Police weren't initially going to investigate this, were they? And then a new piece of evidence came to light.
The British guy left in Wimbledon.
What would have been going on with the police?
He sounds Australian because he was born and bred. I don't know if he was born in Australia, but he was bred in Australia.
Initial thoughts were there were only
and his dad is Glaswegian and a Rangers fan.
And so at that point, Durham Police did decide that there was no case to actually investigate. But then,
I know, back on this push.
There were 17 people at this
event. My God, how much can Sky News fill half an hour with fucking that on loop?
So it would have taken.
I'm sorry, folks. I can't. I value my screen too much.
But we understand that some of the pieces of evidence.
Not as straightforward as it seems, because when you take a witness
I don't know what that British guy looks like. Oh, that was some news there.
You know, Partygate, Beergate, whichever issue you look at, they would have to make sure that they had a really strong case that if it went to court and it was challenged, that they had all of the facts to investigate, and would have taken longer time. And any single thread.
I don't know if that game's still on now.
I guess to make sure
fucking man drinks beer. It's almost as bad as man kicks. Was it a dog or a cat? I think it was a cat, wasn't it? He kicked a cat. Footballer, can't even remember his name now. Remember, it was the most important thing that ever happened ever. It was the most disgraceful thing. Oh, how can they? The man should be jailed and all that. Fuck me. Man kicked cat.
When they make a promise to stand down.
The fucking UK public are so easily fucking hypnotised with bullshit. Have they even mentioned Ukraine yet? Remember, Ukraine was like the best thing since sliced bread? The most important thing ever? Now, man drinks beer.
When they make a
and world leader gets assassinated. That could probably be up. It should be up there. Oh my God, man. Come on, show us the fucking man drink beer footage again.
Court especially.
Right, how fuck?
Court especially when they make a promise to stand down if they are found guilty. So.
Oh, it's live, that's why.
I do have sympathy because policing is supposed to be a...
No! Right, hold on. Right, that's because I'm watching BBC, not Sky News. I need to get fucking shot of that. And there's the real size of the countries. Some say it's a conspiracy to make European countries look bigger than Africa. Because, like, for some reason, the southern hemisphere shrinks and the northern hemisphere expands. But some will say it was just like that for easy navigation. God knows what pish RT's spewing out. That was live. If they've just got a camera outside the hospital after he died, why? Who's watching this? 400 odd people watching it, me included. In fact, that's what we're talking about. I'm adding to the numbers. Right, why is this? Come on. Woman, I can hardly express my mixed emotions.
Their hands with glee at the prospect of that, and a reminder, of course, to escape those higher temperatures, head to the coast where Duncan was in Worthing. This is the peak of the heat wave on Tuesday.
Motherfuckers are still rattling
several
on.
degrees lower than they will be further inland, where we will
look at those numbers and say they probably know somebody who is 30 on the previous week. So let's go through. People.
Right, and somebody in the chat was just saying that they're going to. It looks like they're fucking.
Afternoon, they've increased again across the.
Done without fear or favour.
No, too far.
Really good to get your
Thank God. Really good to really hit home how what a dick that Keir Starmer is on Sky News. Surprise, surprise.
Out this afternoon, they've increased again across the UK in the past week. Our health correspondent Ashish Joshi is in the newsroom for us, again going in the wrong direction, Ashish.
That's right, Sam. The upward trend we've seen.
Shug, you can get
hundreds
of information out there on like the real size of the world, man.
Looking ahead,
it's crazy when you think about it.
For the NHS, particularly, so for the first time now, we have over 2 million people.
Like, when I first found that out, I was like, wow, fucking we. All this time I've been looking at maps of the world and it's pure bullshit. Like, I can hear something. It's this pish. And it's almost blew me away as much as finding out, like, the calendar's kind of just made up as well, you know? That like you always grow up thinking it's 1999 or whatever year it is. You always think that's definitely the year, that's where it is, and then you understand that the calendar's been pure changed and stuff. I can't remember when the Gregorian calendar came in. That's why April used to be the beginning of the year. That's why you get April Fools. That was invented to make people accept the new calendar and stop celebrating the beginning of the year in April. You know, springtime, the beginning. Made sense, didn't it? That's why people do their taxes in April still. Because taxes have always been done at the beginning of the year. April! Oh, they'll find a link for the calendar stuff as well then. Let's listen to the COVID shit.
In England, 2.1 million people in England who had COVID-19 over a week ago. So that's when these figures fall. they go back a week. So let's go through the cases in each of the 4 nations where we've seen a rise over the last week. The number of cases in England has risen to 1 in 25. That's up from 1 in 30 the previous week. Wales is 1 in 20 positive cases. That's up from 1 in 30 on the previous week. Northern Ireland is seeing cases.
Here's the calendar thing. So it was 1582. That's when our calendar was all fucked up. The Gregorian calendar. That's what it's called. So you can go and check that out as well. Shug, if you fancy, my man. But it is kinda interesting to understand it. January isn't the beginning of a year. Let's just have a wee. Let's just have a look at the highlights. The History Channel. 6 things you may not know about the Gregorian calendar. Explore the history of the Gregorian calendar, which Britain and its colonies adopted 260 years ago. That's how old our calendar is, folks. The original goal of the Gregorian calendar was to change the date of Easter, adhere to the Julian calendar. So we replaced Julius Caesar's calendar, which he put in place in 46 BC. I know, it's weird. Guys just make up calendars and go, there it is, them's the breaks. Since the Roman emperor systems miscalculated the length of the solar year by 11 minutes, the calendar has since fallen out of sync with the seasons. This concerned Gregory because it meant that Easter, traditionally observed on March the 21st, fell further away from the spring equinox with each passing year. Leap years don't really occur every 4 years in the Gregorian calendar. The Gregorian calendar differs from the solar year by 26 seconds per year. Oh my god, man. Some Protestants view the Gregorian calendar as a Catholic plot. Oh, April Fools. Britain adopted the Gregorian calendar, sparked riots and protests. Crazy. Before the Gregorian calendar adoption, the English New Year begun on March the 21st. March the 25th. Happy New Year! April. Replaced it with days that carried greater religious significance, such as December the 21st. Anyway, just some uninteresting facts. Let's get back to the COVID. Yeah, number 1.
And 1 in 19 people.
We just wanna be, yeah, number 1.
Cases have risen slightly.
You're just that thing
to 1
before.
In 17, that's up from
You're
1
the
in
one.
18 last week. So anecdotally, people will
yeah,
look at
baby,
number
number 1.
Somebody who is at the moment infected or has COVID-19 and is isolating at home, and that's why you're seeing so much disruption in our economy. We are, as the government says, learning.
I thought it was Putler's fault. Fuck's sake, how many cunts are they going to blame for fucking the Britain burning? Everybody on strike. Everything costing 3 times as much. Number 1.
Learning to live with COVID-19, but that still means people are becoming infected. Businesses are affected because they won't have staff turning up to work.
Cheers, Constantine changed the date.
For the national
Aye,
health
man,
service. A lot of these people who are infected Some of them will work for the National Health Service, and if they can't go into work, then the hospital is under even more pressure, or the doctor's surgery under more pressure.
The map
and
thing's genuine, and the calendar thing's spot on as well. That's why you get April Fools. That's where April Fools comes from.
Elective surgery.
They started that wee tradition to get everybody to stop celebrating New Year, as it said, March the 25th, going into April, you know what I mean?
Spring peak. We are nowhere near
Started
the sort of
April
numbers we
Fools,
saw in terms of
because you were everybody
very
called you a
sick
fool if you
and needing
celebrated the
to
New
go
Year
into
in
hospital
April,
for
not
treatment.
January
So
the
we're not
1st.
seeing those, and it's certainly not comparable to pre-vaccination rates, but people, and we know this from our own experience, people become infected. Some of those people will fall sick and will need hospital treatment. So admissions starting to creep up as well.
All right, Ashish, thank you.
But I thought everybody was vaccinated.
You're watching Sky News at 1.
I don't get
we'll
this.
Have all the latest for you on the
Best vaccination in the world.
Has been
COVID.
cleared of breaking lockdown rules.
Shug, every day's a school day, my man. Every day's a school day. Shug, it's crazy. Like it really blew my mind when I sort of got to grips with that shit. That just these calendars are just created by man. It makes perfect sense. I mean, who would have the winter when everything's fucking dying as the start? April makes more sense to me. But the summer and winter equinoxes, that's when you know where you are for sure, regardless of any man-made shit. That's like a mark in the sand. And that's why they've been celebrated so much throughout the years, and monuments have been made in relation to the sun and whatnot at the equinoxes.
Be doing with this momentum? Here we are on Friday afternoon. Might we be seeing that call for the confidence vote coming on Monday?
I mean, it sounds like it sounds like from what Keir said yesterday and what Angela Rayner was saying on the radio this morning that we could expect a confidence vote.
Well, I'll try and kick on at 2 o'clock, get the headlines off at RT, and then I'm out of here.
Got to get to now, where I think it's definitely looking, is it's got to look beyond Conservative leadership. It's got to look to the coming months and start
get to the gym early before fucking all day.
About the choice that it faces, which is
the
fresh start
Friday before, the Friday punters
get in again, versus more chaos under the Conservatives and a stagnant economy and a decline in growth. I think that's the contrast that they've got to start painting and rising above all the infighting that's happening in the Conservative Party.
All right, Ben Nunn, definitely not Alberto Costa. Thank you very much indeed for your time on Sky News.
No problem. Thanks very much.
He's got some set of nationals, man.
Well, we can bring you more now on the breaking news that the killer of the police community support officer, Julia James, has just been sentenced to life in prison. Well, we can go now to Canterbury Crown Court. Sky's Sadia Chowdhury is there for us. A brutal and vicious man sentenced to life in prison, Sadia.
Yes, it was an emotional day in court for Julia James's family as they listened to those opening remarks again, because this is, of course, a new judge for sentencing. So much of the details that we heard in court during the trial had to be repeated, but we did hear some impact statements from her family members, her husband Paul James, her daughter Bethany Coles and her son, all fighting back tears as they made those statements. Her husband said he cannot sleep at night knowing what she went through at the hands of another, and her daughter described herself as once a confident woman who
Remember,
was the daughter
folks,
of
if you appreciate
now she says she is afraid
the
to
Wag the Dog News
in
Monday to Friday at 1 o'clock, stick a wee thumbs up, it's much appreciated. It helps the algos. I'm reliably informed.
Every day, describing it as a life sentence. And Callum Wheeler, convicted of Julia James's murder, sat
Can he remember this?
listening to all of this. There was no reaction. In fact, he didn't even speak to confirm his name when asked at the beginning. He had to be carried into court by 6 members of staff. In fact, he's shown no remorse throughout this whole time.
Mate, it's a bit like the London Underground map, you know?
Like
it's not accurate, it's just there to help you get a book.
He would hurt women, and he had made the comment, "You can't go into woods and expect to be safe." Well, it had taken the jury,
that was just one that I showed you. You'll find lots out there.
Just less than 70 minutes to find him guilty of Julia James's murder. And today, in sentencing, the judge said that he is driven on the evidence that this was not a spur-of-the-moment action. Rather, it was thought through and planned out. He said you had the presence of mind to cover the blood and wrap up the murder weapon, and that you went back to the site and watched police officers as they investigated.
All right, Sadia, thank you. Well, we can return now to the Prime Minister's resignation, and Boris Johnson is standing firm on his decision to remain in Downing Street until his successor is in place. But that may take until the autumn. Well, for more on that process is the Conservative MP for South Leicestershire, Alberto Costa. It really is.
I'm assuming RT will do top of the hour news
on the Committee on Standards and the Committee on Privileges. Good afternoon to you, Alberto Costa.
I'm going to make a quick cup of tea.
Are you satisfied for Boris Johnson to stay on until a new leader is elected?
Well, good afternoon, Sam, and thank you for inviting me onto your excellent show. I've been rather silent over the last few weeks and months because of the important role that the House of Commons has given to me and 6 other MPs in terms of our role in the Committee on Privileges, Committee on Standards. But what I would say is that the next leader of the Conservative and Unionist Party, the next Prime Minister, must be someone of the utmost integrity. Standards and integrity must feature as the very core of the policies which the candidates will espouse over the next few days. I believe that to restore good government for Britain...
Alberto Costa, what is going to happen differently this time? How are you going to ensure that?
Well, this is how I think the candidate that will get my support can ensure that. The candidates must pledge that the next British cabinet won't be made up of their pals in their leadership campaigns. It must be made up of the very best candidates.
Oh no, it's a Scottish guy that speaks like Jim White. It's the most annoying thing ever. Scottish people don't sound like this. I don't know why. They almost think they have to speak like they're speaking to children. Hi, my name is Jim Shite. Fucking Shog, would you think of Jim White, mate? Does he no do your titties
in the parliamentary party? By having the best people sitting around that cabinet table, not only will they do the best job in the departments to which they're appointed, but more importantly, given the crisis that we're going through, they must be able to speak truth unto power. They must be able to say no to a Prime Minister whenever that's required.
Have you seen those qualities in any of the people who've declared their candidacies yet?
Well, not all of the candidates, I understand, have declared yet. So I'm going to be keeping my counsel until I see the whole panoply of candidates that we have.
God's when I started,
let me be very clear as longest member of the Committee on Standards that I will only give my support to those candidates that genuinely can demonstrate that they've already put standards at the core of their historical achievements and how they will articulate standards going forward. Because policies on the cost of living, on dealing with Putin, on the Northern Ireland Protocol, etc., are extremely important. But if they're not underpinned, let me finish this point. If they're not underpinned by integrity and by having a proper standard system in how the British government operates, they're meaningless. So they have to, every candidate has to be able to articulate clearly and demonstrate how they will restore proper cabinet government in order to re-establish good governance for the whole of the United Kingdom.
And to that point,
this guy really annoys me the way he talks.
with the interim cabinet, how can the party make sure that those who have been appointed, and indeed those who may still yet to be appointed
gorilla
to that
in the
interim
mist,
cabinet, are not just helping
and
Boris
foreign
Johnson fulfil his
name
own
person.
personal objectives, perhaps trying to secure some sort of legacy? And how do you ensure that they are governing in the public interest?
Well, a tree is known by its fruits. Boris
tree is known by its fruits. Welcome to Jim Shite in the Transfer Centre. I am speaking like I'm speaking to a 2-year-old child. Can you understand me?
Robert Buckland into the British cabinet. These are but two figures of individuals who are of the utmost
Imagine meeting some cunt in the boozer and started talking to you like that. Well, what the fuck, mate? Shut the fuck up.
Should have been given
Jim
the
Shite.
opportunity of serving throughout. And that is the point that I'm making. The leadership candidates must pledge to backbench colleagues that when they are...
He's got a touch of the Alex Salmons about him, isn't he?
Campaign, that when they appoint the British cabinet, they must appoint the very best people and not simply the best people in their campaign teams.
You should appoint a better fucking audio dude, man. You're getting an echo there, boy.
Will the Prime Minister still face the full rigours of the Privileges Committee investigation?
Well, I can't go into any of the factors affecting the Committee of Privileges. What I would say to viewers is that there is a web page on the House of Commons parliamentary website where further details about the
Is he a Scottish
privileges is being
is
done.
he an SNP or MP? He said MP, so it's weird.
Of that work and
more pigs at the trough. Tell you, man.
Roberta Costa, good to talk to you. Thank you for your time.
They'll have parliaments fucking every 5 yards.
On our
if
breaking
he would
news
let them.
this hour, Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer has been cleared by Durham police of breaking lockdown rules. Joining me now is the Labour MP for Durham, Mary Foy, whose office is in the building where Sir Keir Starmer was pictured drinking beer in April last year. Good afternoon to you, Mary Foy. You too.
Man kicks cat. Man drinks beer.
Indeed,
this shit is news.
My whole team have
how many years do you think you would need to go back before this shit would be
I'm very
fucking
delighted,
laughable?
But not at all surprised.
And the fact
because
that
we
you get
knew
like
from the
Sky
outset
News
that
and the
there was no
BBC
wrongdoing.
talking about
We haven't
false
broken
flags
any
and all that
rules.
now.
So
Turning into fucking Alex fucking Jones.
I'm so pleased that this
teleprompter. Next will be telling you their teleprompter
I think it took so
free.
long.
Well, this investigation happened last year, and then unfortunately a number of Conservative MPs wanted to, I presume, deflect from what was going on with the Prime Minister, and they've forced the Durham police to investigate again. So this investigation took about 4 or 5 weeks, but unfortunately it's wasted an awful lot of police time. We knew there was no wrongdoing, but some politicians have wanted to score political points from this. I'd like to thank the police, and it's so unfortunate that their time has been wasted.
How has it gone down, this ongoing sort of shadow of the investigation with your constituents up in Durham?
Well, it has actually been appalling for my staff and for myself because of the intrusion from the media into the family. My staff's children have been doorstepped, and the families have been called on by the right-wing media. It's caused an awful lot of pressure for myself and my team. I think most constituents have, they wanted to wait to see what the result of the investigation was, because there were obviously slurs and truths going round and given to newspapers, which now we can all see that it was untruths. And we have been cleared. And so I just want to get on now with doing what's best for my constituents and representing them in Westminster and in Durham. We are middle of a huge cost of living crisis. We have passport delays. We have the public sector workers who are facing, you know, low wages and the dismantle of their terms and conditions. There is an awful lot for us to get on
my God, they're still showing this shit, man.
The shambolic is all over now. We knew there was no wrongdoing, and now we can all just focus on what the country needs. It's in such a state at the minute. It needs strong leadership, and it needs the Labour Party to come forward and show the electorate what
it's ridiculous what's happening. What's happened?
Crisis, and hopefully, you know, we can get some sort of government and Prime Minister in place as quickly as possible, because there is no leadership, and we need to focus on that now. Nothing else matters for the people of this country.
Mary Foy, Labour MP for Durham, thank you for talking to us this afternoon.
Thank you.
Warm memories wherever you go.
Me.
The weather, sponsored by Qatar Airways.
High pressure will bring mostly fine, dry and warm weather this weekend, and it's set to turn even hotter next week. Heatwave conditions likely in the south. Early cloud and outbreaks of rain and
global warming. It's not the summertime. It's global warming.
England and Wales will have plenty of warm sunshine.
England and Wales are getting fucking high heat. Scotland's getting bumped again.
In the London area, a bit cooler around the coasts with a sea breeze. Much of Scotland and Ireland will brighten up through the afternoon with a few blustery showers in the far north. Meanwhile, northwest England will turn increasingly dull and
dark skies now.
The weather, sponsored by Qatar Airways.
Beergate, oh my God, the Guardian's going live waiting on that, man. Why, God? How pathetic are the fucking media? I mean, like, in all seriousness, how fucking pathetic. I mean, they're literally at the level of fucking, what was it used to be called? The Sunday Sport? You ever remember the Sunday Sport back in the day? That's where Sky News and the BBC, the Guardian and all that are at. Fucking absolutely taking the piss. Right. It's got to be the most annoying elevator music ever.
Boring. You're raping our daughters from town to city. Men in your community do something I've seen.
And you look soft as well.
First ginger Muslim I've seen.
And you're soft.
First ginger
Do you know who I am, innit?
I don't give a fuck who you are.
I don't give a fuck who you are.
Who are you?
Do you know who I am?
Are you not one of them? Do you know?
You know who I am. Look at my face.
I don't know who you are.
Look at my face properly. You do. You posted about me. Look at me properly.
The first ginger Muslim I've ever seen. Bro.
Yeah? You're a small man.
I'm a small man.
You're a small man. You're a small man.
Say what is you about your
It's because you're only in Media City. You're always hiding, aren't you?
Always hiding.
Always hiding.
That's it. Does he look like he's hiding? Who are you?
Islamophobe.
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 Hey, what do you know about Islam?
Islamophobe.
Your prophet murdered kids.
My prophet murdered
Your prophet
kids.
was a paedophile, bruv. Your
How?
prophet was
Go on,
not.
explain it.
He fucked Aisha when she was 9 years old. She had a doll with her. He was a paedophile. Unless you don't think that's paedophilia.
Go on, carry on. I've got one question for you, yeah? I saw your podcast with, your public speech with, what's he called? The Muslim fella. Not Dawaman, the other one. And he basically did and his argument was that the Prophet got called all sorts of names, but he never got called a paedophile. Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Because back like 1400 years ago, yeah, things were different. Men fucked kids. like your prophet. Richard Lionheart's wife was 11 years old, yeah? But we don't think he was perfect. We accept that's fucking weird and backwards. But you think Muhammad was perfect, right?
Okay.
He married a 6-year-old child and he shagged him when she was 9. That's fucked up. So if you think he's perfect, you're fucked up.
I don't think it's right.
So you think it's wrong?
I don't think it's right.
So Muhammad was wrong?
But my question to you...
Okay, no, we're getting something. That's good, that's good then.
You got my question.
No, okay. So you think what Muhammad did was wrong, do you?
I'm just saying...
Would you agree if Muhammad had sex with a 9-year-old, he's a pedophile?
There's nothing that says that she was 9 years old.
Sahih Bukhari. You're right. Sahih means authentic.
Yeah.
Well, I'll have a wee look at that and show more on Tuesday.
According to Sergei Lavrov, plus African nations are struggling with fuel shortages and and former Prime Minister Shinzo.
Kicked off early.
We choose to look for common ground.
Remember, folks,
on the campaign
we appreciate Wag the Dog news from all sides. Stuck a wee thumbs up.
After being shot by a lone gunman who says he'd planned the attack. Russia's foreign minister urges Western powers to make up their minds about what they really want for Ukraine, be it peace talks or a fight until the end.
This Western duality demonstrates that the main thing here is their ideology, instead of a concern for Ukrainian citizens, the country itself, or even European security as a whole.
This Western duality demonstrates that the main thing here is their ideology instead of a concern for Ukraine's citizens. That's according to Sergei Lavrov. Plus, African nations are struggling with fuel shortages and rapidly escalating costs, with Western sanctions against Russia wreaking hard, far-reaching collateral damage. It's 4 p.m. here in Moscow. This is RT International. Thank you very much for joining us this hour. I'm Charlotte Dubinsky. Well, we're going to start in Japan now, where the former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has died in hospital.
Well, I'm going to leave it there just over an hour. Thanks for joining, everybody. Have a good weekend. Remember, sub and bell up for anything that I may do from tweets. Or I might do a wee broadcast tonight. I don't know. I'll try them. Nah, probably not, but I might. Don't know. Just giving you the headlines from RT. Moving forward, I'll try and need to record it earlier on. Because for whatever reason they do it at 2 o'clock, not 1. Which is a pain in the arse, but I want to get to the gym before it gets too busy. So thanks for joining, everybody. CMB, Gorillas in the Mist, foreign name Shug, Ed A, and everybody else. Roberto, Donald, Space Jew, and Flying Birds. Thanks one and all. Have a good weekend. Tune in on Monday for another Wag the Dog news at 1 bells. Who the feck knows who else is going to be deed or resigned or in power or Prime Minister by then. Who knows? And remember, y'all, thumbs it up if you do appreciate the bullcrap that I do. It's not what you do, it's the way that you do it. It's not what you do, it's the way that you do it. Not what you do, it's the way that you do it. Have a good Friday night. Catchies. Clips. And remember, citizens, always subscribe and hit the bell. Everything will be well in 1995. Plus shipping and handling will keep you out of hell. Why does a dog wag its tail? Because a dog is smarter than its tail. If the tail were smarter, the tail would wag the dog. Wag the dog in politics is the act of creating diversion from a damaging issue. Here at Wag the Dog News, the tail doesn't wag the dog. Enjoy. Clips, clip. And remember, citizens, always subscribe. Hit the bell, everything will be well. $19.95 plus shipping and handling will keep you out of hell.